Everyone says they want to find the love of their life, but most people aren't actually ready for real love. They're ready for attention. They're ready for someone to fix their loneliness. They're ready for someone to distract them from their own emptiness. But love, real love, doesn't show up to complete you. It shows up when you've already started becoming whole. And if you haven't done the work, if you're still stuck in your old patterns, you won't even recognize the right person when they're right in front of you. You'll push them away, or you'll chase the wrong one again. Or worse, you'll settle for something that feels safe instead of something that's real. This video isn't about how to flirt better or how to use tricks to attract someone. This is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't lose love when it finally arrives. Because you can't attract something real if you're still stuck being fake. You can't build something healthy when you're still carrying around all your pain. So if you're serious about finding the love of your life, this is where it starts. With you. Let's be honest. Most people who say they're looking for love aren't actually looking for love. They're looking for something that feels like love, but without the discomfort, the growth, the self-awareness it actually requires. What they're really chasing is comfort, emotional safety, familiarity, someone who will validate them without challenging them, someone who will fill the silence, ease the boredom, soothe the wounds they haven't taken time to heal. They're looking for a distraction, not a partner. And the truth is, real love doesn't always feel comfortable in the beginning because it demands things comfort never does. It forces you to grow. It reflects your flaws. It won't let you hide behind excuses or trauma or blame. Comfort wants to be coddled. Love wants you to evolve. And that's the problem. People keep confusing emotional dependency for intimacy. They think someone replying fast, being around 24/7, or never challenging their views is a sign of deep connection. But that's not connection. That's convenience. That's emotional babysitting. That's what people call love when they're too afraid to be alone. And when comfort becomes the goal, love becomes impossible. Because love isn't just about what someone else gives you. It's about what you're willing to give in return. Can you hold space for someone else's pain? Or are you only available when they're making you feel good? Can you communicate with honesty even when it's hard? Or do you shut down the moment things feel uncomfortable? Can you see love as something you build together? Or are you just hoping someone will rescue you from yourself? The harsh truth is this. If you're still looking for someone to fix you, you're not looking for love. You're looking for relief. You're looking for a parent, a therapist, a safety net. And that's not fair to you or to them. Love is not supposed to save you from your life. It's supposed to walk beside you as you build it. But it can't do that if you're still waiting for someone to take the weight off your shoulders instead of learning how to carry it yourself. So before you go looking for the one, ask yourself, do I want love or do I just want to be comforted? Because until you stop chasing the illusion of love, the easy, temporary, surface-level version of it, you'll never find the real thing. You'll just keep ending up in relationships that feel good in the moment, but leave you emptier every time they fall apart. And every time that happens, you'll blame love. You'll say it doesn't exist. You'll say everyone leaves. But the truth is, you're not ready for love until you're ready to give it, not just take it. It's easy to blame other people for how we're treated in relationships. We say they lied, they changed, they took us for granted. But there's something most people don't want to admit. You taught them how to treat you. Every time you ignored that red flag, every time you made excuses for disrespect, every time you stayed silent to keep the peace, you were teaching them what was allowed. And they listened. Because people don't treat you based on your worth. They treat you based on what you accept. And if you accept being sidelined, breadcrumbed, used, or disrespected, then that's exactly what you'll keep attracting. Not because you deserve it, but because you've made it the standard. Look around your past relationships. If the same patterns keep showing up, emotionally unavailable partners, constant drama, manipulation masked as affection, it's not coincidence. It's not bad luck. It's the result of unspoken rules you've written through your tolerance. Think about this. The first time someone disrespected you, did you say something? Did you walk away? Or did you let it slide because it wasn't a big deal? Did you hold them accountable? Or did you just hope they'd notice how much you were hurting? Because silence is a language too. And it often says, you can keep doing this. I won't leave. And people will keep doing it. Not because they're evil, but because they're human. They test boundaries. They see what they can get away with. And if you never draw a line, you become the one who disappears inside the relationship. You lose yourself trying to hold it together. And eventually you start believing that's what love is supposed to feel like. Unbalanced, one-sided, exhausting. But here's the truth you need to hear. You are not hard to love. But the longer you stay in places where your needs are treated like burdens, the more you'll believe that lie. And that belief is dangerous because it doesn't just hurt your heart, it changes your identity. You stop asking for what you want. You convince yourself that being low maintenance, quiet, and agreeable is the only way to be worthy. You wear your suffering like a badge of honor, thinking loyalty means staying even when it hurts. But real love doesn't require you to shrink. It doesn't need you to suffer in silence. It doesn't ask you to tolerate things that destroy your peace. So why do you? For many, it starts in childhood. Maybe love was something you had to earn. Maybe you had to be perfect to feel seen. Maybe you learned that asking for more got you punished or ignored. And so now you carry that same fear into every relationship. If I ask for what I need, they'll leave. If I set a boundary, I'll be alone. If I walk away, no one better will come. But that's not reality. That's trauma. And it's choosing your partners for you, quietly in the background, every single time you go back to someone who only half loves you. It's time to change that, to stop letting your wounds pick your relationships. Because until you raise your standards, you'll keep repeating the same painful cycles. New faces, same heartbreak. You attract what you tolerate, and what you tolerate becomes your life. So if you want to find the love of your life, you have to stop settling for the version of love that keeps breaking you. It starts with one decision to never again make space for people who don't make space for you. Because the love of your life, they don't need to be convinced of your value. They'll feel it. They'll respect it. But only if you do first. You've probably heard it before. You're too picky. Your standards are unrealistic. Love isn't a checklist. But the people saying that usually aren't living the kind of love you want anyway. And here's the truth they won't say out loud. Your standards aren't the problem. Your self-respect is. Because what most people call high standards are often just basic respect. Wanting someone who communicates, who's emotionally mature, who chooses you fully, that's not asking too much. That's asking for the minimum. But the issue is this. You keep lowering your standards to match your self-worth. And when you don't feel worthy of being loved well, you start accepting whatever love is easiest to get. You bend. You settle. You compromise with people who never even tried to meet you halfway. And eventually you convince yourself that real love requires sacrifice. But the only thing you're sacrificing is yourself. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. And the right person will never be intimidated by your standards. They'll see them as a sign of someone who knows exactly what they're worth. So raise them, not out of pride, but out of peace, because the love of your life won't make you beg for what should be freely given. They'll meet you where you are, if you have the courage to stay there. This is the part that hurts the most to hear, because it exposes the one thing you don't want to admit. You're not really looking for love. You're waiting for permission to feel like you matter. You've built your self-worth around being chosen. Chosen by someone attractive. Chosen by someone successful. Chosen by someone who, in your eyes, would finally prove that you're enough. So you wait. You mold yourself. You shape your personality around what you think they'll like. You try not to be too much, not too emotional, not too intense. You lower your voice, shrink your needs, and soften your desires just enough to fit into whatever space they're willing to offer you. And when they don't pick you, you take it as a sign that you were never good enough to begin with. But here's what you never learned. You don't become valuable when someone chooses you. You're valuable because you exist. The love of your life won't be found by standing still and hoping someone finally notices your worth. They won't be found in a waiting room where you keep auditioning for people who don't know what they want. They'll find you when you've stopped asking to be picked and started choosing yourself every single day. The problem is, waiting to be chosen feels safe. It lets you avoid responsibility. If no one chooses you, then maybe you never had a chance to begin with. You don't have to take risks. You don't have to face rejection. You don't have to do the terrifying work of standing alone in your truth and saying, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." But choosing yourself, that's hard because it means cutting ties with anyone who only shows up halfway. It means saying no to relationships that feel familiar but unfulfilling. It means walking away from people who keep you as an option, no matter how badly you want to be their priority. And it means learning how to love your own company before begging someone else to fill the silence. When you wait to be chosen, your entire identity becomes reactive. Your self-esteem rises and falls based on how someone else sees you. You become addicted to crumbs of affection. You convince yourself that almost is enough, almost loved, almost wanted, almost seen. But almost is what people settle for when they haven't decided they deserve more. And that decision, it's the turning point of your entire love life. Because the moment you stop waiting is the moment you start building. Not just a relationship, but a life that someone would be grateful to be part of. You stop chasing attention and start creating alignment. You stop trying to be impressive and start being honest. You stop looking at love as a finish line and start seeing it as a reflection of who you become. And the irony is, the very moment you stop needing to be chosen is when the right person shows up. Not to complete you, but to join you. They're not looking for someone who's desperate to be validated. They're looking for someone who's already done the work. Someone who isn't afraid to walk alone until the right connection comes. Someone who doesn't need them, but who wants them freely from a place of strength. So ask yourself, if the love of your life walked into your world today, would you recognize them? Or would you still be so busy proving your worth to the wrong people that you'd miss them completely? You've spent enough time waiting. It's time to choose yourself, because only when you do will someone else know how. By now, you've probably been conditioned to believe love should feel like fireworks, that it should overwhelm you, shake you, consume you, that if it doesn't feel chaotic, obsessive, all-consuming from the start, then it must not be real. You've been told love is something that sweeps you off your feet, that it's supposed to hurt, that it's supposed to keep you guessing, keep you chasing, keep you trying. But that isn't love. That's addiction. That's adrenaline. That's the nervous system responding to instability and calling it chemistry. The truth is this: real love doesn't explode. It grounds. It doesn't knock you off balance. It becomes the very thing that gives you balance. It's not an emotional roller coaster. It's the deep stillness that finally makes everything else stop spinning. When you meet the right person, it won't feel like chaos. It will feel like clarity, like your nervous system finally exhales, like home. They won't play games. They won't withhold affection to feel powerful. They won't leave you wondering what you did wrong or make you question if you're lovable. They'll be direct, consistent, simple. Not because they're boring, but because real love is safe, and safe isn't boring, it's rare. You won't have to beg for time, for attention, for effort. You won't have to decode texts or overthink silences. You won't be stuck in a cycle of temporary highs and crushing lows. They'll show up every day, quietly, reliably, with patience instead of pressure, with presence instead of promises. You won't feel fireworks, but you'll feel a fire, one that burns low and steady, not wild and unstable. It won't blind you. It'll illuminate everything. And that's how you'll know. Real love is not performance. It doesn't need to be posted. It doesn't need an audience. It exists fully in the moments no one sees. The mundane routines, the gentle check-ins, the hand on your back when the world feels too heavy, the knowing look across a crowded room that says, "I've got you." It's a conversation at 2 a.m. that makes you feel seen for the first time. It's someone listening without trying to fix you. It's being held without being controlled. It's being loved not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are when you're too tired to pretend. And here's the truth. You may not recognize that kind of love if you've spent your life chasing drama. If you're used to being punished for needing too much, or used for offering too much, then real love might feel foreign at first. Unfamiliar. Almost too easy. But don't mistake peace for boredom. Don't confuse quiet with emptiness. Don't walk away from someone kind because you're addicted to being treated like a burden. You need to retrain your heart. Because if all you've known is survival, safety will feel dull. If all you've known is chaos, consistency will feel fake. If all you've known is loss, being chosen will feel suspicious. But those aren't red flags. Those are wounds. And the love of your life won't heal them for you, but they'll never make them worse. They'll love you through them, patiently, softly, completely. Real love is not found in passion alone. It's built in moments, layer by layer, choice by choice. So stop looking for someone to shake up your world. Start looking for someone who makes you want to build one together. Because love is not supposed to make you feel small. It's supposed to hold you so you can grow. And that kind of love, it's not loud. It doesn't have to be. Because when it's real, it doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. Imagine this. You meet someone kind, patient, emotionally available. They communicate clearly. They're consistent. They respect your boundaries. They don't make you chase. They don't give you anxiety. And what do you feel? Bored, confused, suspicious. You think, it's too easy. Something must be wrong. That's not your intuition. That's your trauma. That's your unhealed wounds screaming louder than your common sense. You've spent so long in survival mode that peace feels threatening. You've been so used to fighting for love that receiving it feels uncomfortable. And now you're mistaking emotional safety for a lack of spark because the only love you've ever known was the kind that burned you. You will sabotage the right relationship if you meet it before you've healed. You will push away the person who finally shows up for you, not because they're wrong, but because your nervous system has learned to equate love with chaos. And when love doesn't hurt, you assume it must not be real. You'll test them, you'll withdraw, you'll pick fights just to prove they'll leave. You'll pretend you don't care when you're actually terrified they'll stop caring. And the worst part? You won't even know you're doing it. Because when you've never seen healthy love modeled, you assume it doesn't exist. You've been conditioned to believe love is something you earn, something you beg for, something that arrives only when you're perfect, quiet enough, easy enough, low maintenance enough. But healing teaches you something different. It teaches you that love isn't a reward. It's a connection. It's not about proving your worth. It's about aligning with someone who already sees it. Unhealed people don't fall in love. They fall into patterns. They're not looking for peace. They're looking for familiarity. And if what's familiar is being ignored, invalidated, or abandoned, then that's what they'll chase again and again. You'll find yourself drawn to people who resemble the pain you never processed because something deep inside you is still trying to win the love you didn't receive from someone else a long time ago. You're not dating in the present. You're reenacting the past, trying to finally earn the love you were once denied. But healing stops the cycle. It teaches you how to respond instead of react. It teaches you that silence isn't peace, that manipulation isn't passion, and that confusion isn't chemistry. It rewires you to recognize love not by how intense it feels, but by how safe you feel in it. And that shift changes everything. When you're healed, you no longer chase validation. You walk away from mixed signals. You stop trying to fix people who can't even admit they're broken. You stop confusing potential with reality. You stop sacrificing your needs just to feel needed. You become selective, not because you're afraid of being alone, but because you've learned to love your peace more than the illusion of connection. And here's the paradox. When you heal, you might feel lonelier at first, because suddenly, the people you were once drawn to no longer excite you. The relationships that once felt normal now feel draining. The highs and lows you were addicted to get replaced by something steady, even calm. And at first, you'll grieve that chaos because it was all you knew. But over time, you'll realize you never actually wanted the chaos. You just wanted love. And chaos was the only doorway you were shown. Until now. Healing isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. Aware of your patterns, aware of your triggers, aware of the way you abandon yourself just to feel accepted. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. You'll look back at the person you used to be, desperate, chasing, tolerating, begging, and feel nothing but compassion because they were doing the best they could. But now you know better. And when you know better, you choose better. So if you're still wondering why you haven't found the love of your life yet, ask yourself this. Would you even recognize them if they stood in front of you today? Or would you call them boring, unexciting, not your type? Simply because they don't match your trauma's definition of love? The love of your life isn't going to fix your wounds. They're going to require that you already know where they are, because they won't try to love you through your self-abandonment. They'll love you when you've returned to yourself. And until you do, you'll keep mistaking pain for passion. You'll keep writing tragedies and calling them soulmates. You'll keep losing the right people because the broken version of you can't hold on to something whole. So heal, not just for yourself, but for the love you haven't met yet. They deserve the best version of you. And more than that, you deserve the kind of love that your wounds will never understand. There's a version of you that will never meet the love of your life, not because they don't exist, not because you're not worthy, but because you never became the version of yourself that could hold on to them. And that should scare you, not in a hopeless way, but in a wake-up way, because timing matters. Readiness matters. The right person at the wrong time isn't your soulmate. They're just a devastating lesson in what happens when you wait too long to grow. The truth is, love doesn't wait for you to get it together. The love of your life isn't going to pause their own evolution until you finally feel ready to rise. They're building, healing, expanding. And every day you choose comfort over courage, they're getting farther from the version of you they were meant to meet. People say, if it's meant to be, it will be. But they forget the second half. Only if you're ready when it arrives. You could meet them tomorrow and lose them just as fast. Because love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about being the person who doesn't destroy it with fear, insecurity, or emotional immaturity. You have to be able to receive it, to recognize it, to trust it. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens by intention. It happens when you start choosing discipline over dysfunction. When you stop entertaining people who feel like home, but are actually just reminders of your past pain. When you finally stop arguing with the universe and start preparing for what you say you want. Because here's the thing, love doesn't change your life. Readiness does. Love shows up to the version of you who no longer abandons themselves, who doesn't settle for half effort, who doesn't confuse chaos for connection, who walks away from anything that threatens their peace without guilt. And when that version of you becomes real, the love you've been waiting for finally has a place to land. They won't be perfect. They won't fix everything, but they'll meet you fully, honestly, deeply. And this time you won't push it away. You won't ruin it with games. You won't need them to save you, because by the time they show up, you'll already know how to hold yourself. So don't waste time wondering if they're out there. They are. The real question is, when they finally arrive, will you be ready? Because love is not found, it's received, and only by the version of you who knows exactly what to do with it. So here you are, at the end of a journey that isn't really about finding someone else. It's about becoming someone else. The version of you that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't break just to feel loved. Because love isn't hiding, it's waiting, not out there, but in here, in the boundaries you haven't set, in the healing you've delayed, in the peace you still think you need someone else to give you. The love of your life isn't going to show up with fireworks and a handwritten invitation. They're going to walk into your life quietly, and when they do, you'll be faced with one question: did I prepare for this? Or did I waste my time preparing for everyone who wasn't them? You don't get the love you want by wishing for it. You get it by earning it through self-respect, honesty, consistency, and growth. And if you're still settling, still tolerating, still performing, you'll miss them. Not because they weren't real, but because they didn't see themselves in who you were pretending to be. The love of your life will not recognize the version of you that's still clinging to past pain, playing small, or begging for crumbs. They'll see you when you finally start living like you already deserve love. Not just any love, right love, steady love, challenging, healing, real love.